Welcome to the Deep Dive. We dig through the sources, pull out the key takeaways, and help you get informed fast. Today we've got a story that honestly feels like it could be a movie. It's about the rise, the fall, and then this really dramatic rescue of, well, an American icon. Think about a company that was basically the name in kitchen innovation, right?
Yeah.
But then somehow it just lost its way, and then this outsider comes along, someone with a super sharp eye and maybe even sharper courage, who just steps in and changes everything. We're talking about Tappan. And for our deep dive today, we're leaning heavily on this really insightful piece called Tappan's Downfall: How Courageous Truth-Telling Changed a Boardroom. So our mission here is to really unpack all those layers, the leadership decisions, the corporate culture dynamics, and critically, the role independent voices play when a company hits a wall. It's a story with some surprising twists, I think, and insights that still feel really relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating, isn't it? How quickly a company, especially one with such a legacy, can kind of veer off track when the leadership gets disconnected from what's actually happening. And this isn't just, a dry business case study. It's really a deep dive into human dynamics, how people operate under pressure in these high-stakes situations. It tells us a lot, I think, about these universal reasons why companies succeed or, well, why they fail.
It's a great way to put it. Not just spreadsheets, but psychology. So where does that human element, that disconnect, really start to show in Tappan's story? Maybe we should start way back.
Yeah.
1881. W.J. Tappan.
Right. Just a horse-drawn wagon.
Yeah, selling cast iron stoves, driving around Ohio, sometimes even taking farm produce as payment, apparently.
Humble beginnings, for
Yeah.
sure. From Bellaire, Ohio, then eventually they moved to Mansfield. That's where things really started to scale up a bit.
But the real, innovation explosion came later, didn't it? Under W.R. Dick Tappan in the 50s.
That's the golden era, you could say.
Yeah, this is where Tappan becomes like Tappan. They put out the first home microwave oven in 1955.
A collaboration with Raytheon, right. They managed to shrink those massive commercial units.
Exactly, into something you could actually put in your kitchen. Plus, the see-through oven door, porcelain enamel stoves.
And then that combination range in '65, the first conventional and microwave oven.
They were genuinely pushing the envelope, really thinking ahead.
And if you zoom out, Tappan wasn't just making appliances. They were, in a way, shaping how Americans lived at home. They even made mobile field stoves for soldiers in World War II.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And a lot of their design features, they just became standard across the industry. By the '60s, everyone knew Tappan. It meant quality, it meant innovation.
Which makes it even more baffling then.
Yeah.
How does a company like that, so forward-thinking, start to falter? What went wrong in the 70s?
Well, the whole industry changed rapidly. You had these huge players like General Electric, Whirlpool, using their massive size, their economies of scale.
Right. Hard to compete with that.
And then foreign manufacturers started coming in, offering lower prices. Plus, consumer tastes were shifting. People wanted, more modern designs.
So Tappan, the innovator, suddenly looked old.
They started lagging pretty significantly. Even though they basically invented the home microwave, others were better at marketing it, making it efficiently, distributing it. It really makes you scratch your head, doesn't it? How does a company with that kind of innovative DNA just miss these huge market shifts?
That's the million-dollar question. And somehow, the boardroom seemed totally insulated from all this turbulence. Even with Dick Tappan, the founder's grandson who'd led that innovation charge, moving from CDO to chairman. The company's direction then fell to a new CEO, Donald Charles Blasius.
Blasius, he came in around '74 as EVP and COO.
And by '76, he was CEO. And his resume, it looked impressive on the surface. Northwestern degree, 15 years at McCulloch.
Chainsaws, small engines, that kind of thing.
Right. And then 6 years at J.I.Case, farm and construction equipment.
Yeah, see, that's the interesting part. On paper, looked great. Experienced, solid background. But his whole experience was in these stable business-to-business type markets, managing steady growth operational stuff.
Not the fast-moving, consumer-focused appliance world.
Exactly. That industry was becoming all about rapid innovation, brand image, strategic pivots. He was arguably the right guy for, yesterday's Tappan, not the Tappan that needed to exist in the late '70s.
And his management style didn't exactly help them adapt from what the source suggests.
Oh, not at all. He was very much command and control.
Meaning,
Lots of micromanagement, really long approval processes for everything. He wanted to make all the big decisions himself.
and meetings were basically lectures.
Pretty much. Long, one-sided, you could ask questions technically, but challenging his analysis. That was seen as challenging him personally, a threat.
So people probably learned pretty quickly to just not challenge him.
You got it. It created this, you could call it a boardroom echo chamber. All decisions funneling through one guy. Market research tended to just confirm what they already thought instead of providing, a reality check.
So boardroom optimism on one side.
And market realities drifting further and further away on the other. His manufacturing expertise just didn't translate into understanding consumer trends or brand strategy.
Yeah.
And the scary part, he didn't seem willing to admit that or really seek out different views.
Which led to this dysfunctional boardroom situation. Presentations were designed to avoid criticism.
It became risky career-wise to question Blasius.
Even Dick Tappan, the founder's grandson, felt trapped. He didn't have the financial background to argue with Blasius's complex reports.
Yeah, he was kind of sidelined in his own family's company, and the result was predictable, right? Tappan kept losing market share, product development just kind of stalled. The brand image shifted from innovator to just reliable, or maybe even outdated. That's how it happens sometimes. It's not always just external competition. It can be this internal blindness when leaders become sort of untouchable, when the tough questions stop being asked.
It's a pretty grim picture. But then, into this whole situation steps Carl Icahn.
The outsider.
Totally. He was young then, only 42 in 1978. Started his own firm just 10 years earlier with borrowed money.
A specialist in risk arbitrage, looking for companies the market wasn't valuing correctly.
And Tappan pops up on his radar.
Right.
Not because it was doing great, but because it wasn't. The stock was trading low, around $7 a share.
Right. And Icahn looked at the actual assets, the brand name, the factories, the distribution, the know-how, and thought, hang on.
He saw hidden value.
Exactly. He figured the real value was maybe double that $7, like $15 a share, maybe more. Value that he believed bad management was basically hiding.
So what was his plan?
Pretty straightforward, actually. Quietly buy up 5% of the stock.
Which gives you the right to.
Demand a board seat. Push for change from the inside.
And the existing board must have loved that idea.
Oh, yeah. They resisted fiercely. Saw him as this young Wall Street guy, an outsider who couldn't possibly understand their business.
But why were they so resistant? Weren't things clearly going downhill? Why defend the status quo?
That's the puzzle, isn't it? Maybe comfort? Maybe fear of admitting failure? Maybe just not liking this outsider telling them what to do?
So Icahn had to fight for it. A proxy fight.
Yep. And it wasn't just about getting himself a seat. It was about making the board accountable to the shareholders.
And Icahn, even as an outsider, he'd done his homework on the industry, right? He had ideas.
He definitely did. And eventually, the pressure worked. He got his board seat. He was in the room.
Okay, so Icahn's inside now. The stage is set for some real fireworks.
And they weren't long in coming. Just a few months later, Blasius calls a board meeting.
The agenda.
A big acquisition proposal, buying some struggling company in a totally unrelated industry. Blasius framed it as, transformative.
Sounds potentially distracting.
Well, before the meeting even began, Blasius took Icahn aside.
Oh. What did he say?
Something like, I hope you'll keep your thoughts to yourself during the presentation. The board needs to see unified leadership on this.
Wow. Trying to shut him down preemptively.
Exactly. It just showed how insecure Blasius really was deep down. And it perfectly illustrated that Tappan culture demanding compliance, not encouraging real discussion.
So the meeting starts. Blasius gives his presentation.
And by all accounts, it was slick. Polished slides, detailed numbers, complex justifications.
But Icahn saw problems.
Big ones. The price was too high, the strategy wasn't clear at all, the due diligence looked shaky.
And crucially,
It was a massive distraction. Tappan's core appliance business was bleeding, and here they were talking about buying something completely different.
okay, so Blasius finishes his pitch. What's the mood?
Tense. Very tense. One board member very carefully asks a sort of mild question about the valuation.
And Blasius.
Pounces. Immediately gets defensive, intimidating. Are you questioning my analysis? I've done this for 20 years. Are you doubting my intelligence, my commitment, that kind of thing?
Whoa, just shuts it down completely.
Stone cold silence in the room. The message was crystal clear. Don't challenge the boss. You have to wonder what the other board members were thinking. Right. Trapped in that culture.
Probably just hoping someone else would speak up.
It was a masterclass in silencing dissent. But that reaction, that defensiveness, it just screamed weakness, not strength. A secure leader would welcome the questions.
And then Icahn speaks.
Breaks the silence. And he doesn't hold back. Drops that now famous line, "This might be the worst deal in economic history."
Boom.
And he didn't just say it, he backed it up. methodically just took the whole proposal apart, questioned the numbers, the logic, the opportunity cost of not fixing the core business.
And the key difference was?
He had nothing to lose internally, no relationships to protect, no Tappan career path. He was truly independent.
So what happens after Icahn drops that bombshell?
Blasius tries to hit back, right? Attacks Icahn's credentials, his youth, questions his right to challenge a seasoned CEO.
But did it work this time?
No. Something had shifted. Icahn's courage, just laying it out there, it seemed to, break the spell.
It emboldened others.
Yes. Dick Tappan, the founder's grandson, who'd been quiet for so long, he started speaking up. Then other board members chimed in, asking the questions about market share and strategy they'd clearly been holding back for months.
The dam finally broke.
Pretty much. The acquisition proposal, dead in the water, withdrawn. And that whole culture of fear and silence started to crumble right there in that meeting.
So the immediate crisis was averted. But what happened next? Blasius couldn't really stay after that, could he?
No, the writing was on the wall. It became clear, very quickly, that Tappan needed new leadership, entirely new direction.
So the board started looking at options.
Exactly. They explored strategic alternatives, which eventually led to Tappan being acquired by AB Electrolux.
The big Swedish appliance company.
Right. And interestingly, Electrolux saw the same value Icahn had spotted way back when the stock was at $7.
What did they end up paying?
$18 per share.
Wow. More than double Icahn's original target.
Completely validating his analysis. He saw the hidden value, called out the bad strategy, holding it back, and the market ultimately agreed.
And Icahn himself.
Walked away with a profit of about $2.7 million on his investment. Not bad for speaking truth to power.
Not bad at all. So looking back at this whole saga, what are the big takeaways for us, for anyone listening?
Oh, there are so many. First, just the incredible danger of that boardroom echo chamber. How leaders cut off from real critique, just lose touch with reality.
That isolation seems key.
Definitely. Then there's the flip side, the huge value of an independent perspective. Someone coming in fresh, without the baggage, who can see things others miss.
Because they're not invested in the status quo.
Precisely. And it highlights the sheer power of asking the hard questions. How one person's courage can literally change the culture, shift it from just going along to being truly accountable.
It also speaks to the duty of board members, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That fiduciary duty to shareholders. Sometimes it means having really uncomfortable conversations. You can't just prioritize harmony over truth.
And you called it the economics of courage. Saying no to a bad idea actually created value here.
Immense value was unlocked simply by stopping a bad deal and forcing a rethink. It's not always about the next big yes. Sometimes the most valuable move is a strong no.
It really does circle back to that human element you mentioned earlier, how people react when their assumptions get challenged. Boardrooms aren't always set up for easy truth-telling.
No, they often aren't. They can prioritize consensus, but as Tappan shows, sometimes truth, even uncomfortable truth, is way more important than harmony for survival and success.
And this story, the Tappan-Icahn confrontation, it still resonates today, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic case study. It influenced generations of activist investors, pushed reforms in corporate governance. It really makes you think, how can we apply these lessons in our own jobs, our organizations, maybe even our communities?
Where can that independent voice make a difference?
Exactly. Where is a courageous, fact-based challenge needed?
So in a nutshell, the Tappan story really drives home that one person, if they're armed with facts, driven by purpose, and have the courage to speak up, can genuinely change things, even deeply entrenched corporate cultures. They can unlock huge value.
It's a powerful reminder. Think about it in your own context. Where might challenging the status quo carefully, thoughtfully, but truthfully be the most valuable thing you could do, even if it feels like the hardest thing? Because sometimes just telling the truth clearly and directly is the most vital service anyone can offer.
So, something to think about.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for you? Where could you be that independent voice, that truth teller, who might just make all the difference? Thanks for diving deep with us today.